Good morning, everyone at VIP pre-market this morning. I'm feeling good, though. Feeling good. We're halfway through this volatile, tumultuous week with lots of data coming in. Today is FOMC. Tomorrow is Apple and Amazon. But I think the worst might be over. I think there's enough data in, both in terms of earnings and also market reactions to date, that could mean the worst has passed us. So actually, first, let me just comment on FOMC. Vast majority of people are expecting 75 basis point increase. I believe that happens at 2 p.m. So that's what I'm expecting. 75, I think it's baked in. I think when you see 75, you'll see an immediate pop in the market. But then that first move sometimes is wrong. Very often, actually, is wrong. So we have to wait to see what the commentary is. I guess it shortly after that, 2:15, 2:30. I'm not sure what the schedule is. But the market moves more so on the commentary, the forward-looking commentary from the Fed after they release their decision. So to me, actually, it's mostly going to be a non-event. I think it's going to be 75 basis points, and unless there's something shocking and unexpected in the commentary, I think it may react nicely. So that's that. And then tomorrow we have Apple and Amazon. I think Amazon is also baked in. Everyone knows what to expect at this point with Amazon and Target and Walmart. All that stuff has been already telegraphed. We already have cloud data from Microsoft yesterday. And but yesterday, what did we have? We had Google, Microsoft, Visa, also some big news out of Shopify yesterday morning, laying off 10% of their staff, and then earnings this morning. As you can see, looking at the charts here, price action looks good. Now, the thing that really turned it around yesterday and after hours, Microsoft was initially down. Google and Microsoft both missed, right? They both missed on the top and the bottom line, but the guidance was particularly good from Microsoft. In fact, if you go into the news section here, you have to look for it, but I put it in the chat. There's a comment from one of the analysts that basically the guidance from Microsoft will be the guidance heard around the world, right? They really, Microsoft went up $15 in a matter of like a minute when they released their guidance during the conference call. It went from like 245 to 250, went from 250 to 265 in like 1 minute because they forecasted 10% growth in 2023 and very strong commentary in their cloud business, and that pulled up Google with it as well. Google is soft on ad spending, not a surprise, but you see that Google's up on this report. So even though they had the soft ad spending, Google's up. Microsoft turned around on the guidance. Visa beat on the top and the bottom line, which is, to me, not a surprise at all because inflation actually helps them. For anyone who has a small business, you'll know that the transaction fees you pay to Visa, MasterCard, American Express is a percentage of the sales, right? So sales is not the issue here. People are still spending money. It's a matter of what are they spending money on because of inflation, because of food and energy inflation. How much discretionary income do they have left, for example, an iPhone? That's the concern. Also, profit margins are a concern in this cycle because of the high input costs. But overall, how much money people are spending, that was never a concern at all. And because Visa takes a percentage off the top of all that, that's very good news for Visa. Interestingly, Visa is the only one that's down out of the three, even though they're the only ones that beat top and bottom line earnings there. So that's Google, Microsoft, Visa. Shop, really bad news yesterday, laying off 10% of its workforce. And this morning, they released earnings, which was also bad. Man, their commentary it's terrible. If you go into this newsfeed here, you can look at some of the commentary Shop had. Actually sees e-commerce reset to pre-pandemic trends, warns of wider 3Q operating loss. There you go. So you get bad guidance from Shopify. It was down sharply this morning to new 52-week lows. 29.72 is a 52-week low. Obviously, the pre-market action doesn't count officially in the pre-market low number, the 52-week low number. So it's definitely down there, going to be challenging that 52-week low. They must have said something positive on the conference call just a few minutes ago. It popped up from 29.50 to 32, now 31, close to flat. But that's what you have to weigh. You can look at the market reaction with Google, Microsoft, Visa, and Shop and put it all together. It's no surprise that Q and SPY up this morning. And then put on top of that an expected 75 basis point. If they go 1%, we're in trouble today, but I don't think it's going to happen. So I think this bodes well for market reaction later today. And I think also bodes well for Apple because Google and Microsoft both missed. And you can, and I at this point, based on this reaction of the market, Apple would have to be a complete disaster for it to trade down significantly on earnings. I'm not expecting a disaster. I was just expecting some softness. So, there's still a little bit of a wild card. Who knows? You never know. But at this point, I'm pretty feeling good that we're out of trouble for now. Not saying the ultimate bottom is in, but I think we may be out of trouble for now. And I think possibly at this point, the risk is to the upside for the rest of the week. We'll have to see how that plays out. A couple other earnings I wanted to point out. T-Mobile, I had my eye on this because Verizon and AT&T last week had earnings that may have boded poorly for Apple, and it still may. So I had my eye on T-Mobile. T-Mobile earnings came out. They missed, but their guidance was very good, specifically because of better merger synergies with Sprint. They're now forecasting much higher subscriber numbers going forward because of the merger synergies with Sprint. So that's what T-Mobile's reacting to, even though the earnings was a miss. Maybe this is going to be helpful to SMSI. Probably not today. Not the type of stock that's going to move on news like that instantaneously. Although you look at that, how much the volume? 100 shares. Someone's excited. But ultimately, that may be good for T-Mobile. But at the end of the day, they have like everyone, don't they? T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T. So it doesn't matter who gets the market share, right? We'll see what happens there with SMSI. But all right. So what else we're looking at? We're looking at risk assets up, ARK and Bitcoin, proxies for risk assets, 2 and 2% there on each of these. ARK, by the way, that brings me to coin. Kathy Wood sold coin for a loss. I don't think her entire position, but she sold a nice amount of coin for a loss yesterday. Just want to explain the price action here. Yesterday, coin was down very significantly because of a government probe. Was it from the SEC? I think it's an SEC probe. Yeah. So some sort of SEC probe with crypto. I don't know the details, but there it is, 16% on SEC probe. You can see it right there. So anyway, I just want to remind people that why do we do this show and what's the spirit behind everything we do at Story Trading? We don't always get a chance to talk about it every single day, but the whole premise behind everything we do is that there are logical, explainable reasons for all price action, right? It flies in the face of some, fundamental investors who think markets are inefficient and chaotic and they make no sense. So we're totally opposite of that. We believe markets always make sense. It's a matter of collecting all of that data and considering things like sentiment, catalysts, fundamentals, and technicals, all of it. And that's what we try to do on this show, is to analyze all of that data to bring understanding to price action. And we just believe when you have understanding of price action, you can make better decisions. So that's the spirit behind what we do. And you can see when we go through this every morning, there's an explanation for everything. Even, why is the stock up on bad earnings or down on good earnings? There's always a reason. You got to dive deeper. You got to look at the guidance. You got to look at the sentiment. Sometimes you have to look at the technicals. So just a reminder of the purpose of what we're doing here at Story Trading. So let's go through a little further here. Couple of earnings. ENPH we noted yesterday. I don't know if I mentioned on this show or just in a room, but we noted that this was one of the Wolf Financial Trade of the Week picks. Remember, 50% of the picks were energy-related names on the show. So someone picked ENPH. They're doing very good on that competition. I had picked IPI along with Clearfield. I'll get to Clearfield in a second. So IPI also energy-related because of natural gas, but anyway, congrats to whoever picked ENPH. They're off to a great start in the competition. I'm going to have our work cut out for us to try to win this week with IPI and Clearfield. So CCJ, which I do have a nice core position in my IRA. There's a uranium stock that had earnings this morning, up sharply. Really good numbers, really good commentary. I recommend you go read that earnings report. You can see there was some resistance here at 2407. It's already trying to challenge that this morning. So CCJ, positive uranium news. Will that impact UUUU today, which I also have a position in? We'll have to see. Oh, it already is. I don't think they had earnings. No, they didn't. So this is reacting. There's a sympathy move off CCJ. So everything makes sense. I'm telling you. DNN, let's see. A little bit of a move, but not enough volume to really make sense out of it. The bid is only $1.14 to also react positively to that CCJ earnings report. Now, some other news here. SAVA, which I have a peripheral interest in just because I have a position, actually not even a big position anymore in INMB, but maybe I'll increase my position today. CCJ had a criminal probe now. Criminal probe on fraudulent data for Alzheimer's, down 32%. I don't trade this. I'm not gonna trade this. You can see it actually moved up sharply. Oh, gap down at 12, up to 17, back to 15. So criminal probe, Alzheimer's. I see. In addition to SAVA, people are talking now, thinking that maybe some of that money will move into AVXL, another Alzheimer's research company, AVXL, and obviously other one I'm interested in, brought to us by Dan Carlson, been a VIP pick for a long time, is INMB. Now INMB this morning, they put a press release out. Their earnings are on August 3rd. Maybe you can see an event anticipation run. I know Dan is also talking about some catalysts coming up for INMB. Maybe we'll get him as a guest on the show later this week to talk about those catalysts ahead of this earnings report. So possibly some of this Alzheimer's money, you got to figure some of these people invested in SAVA, they're doing it for ideological reasons. They believe in the space. They want to cure Alzheimer's. So some of that money may be coming out of SAVA and may look for a new home, possibly in AVXL or INMB this morning. So I'll be looking at that, possibly increasing my position on INMB since I'm pretty underweight on that right now. Yesterday, those of you who've been watching closely, you know that we basically called the top on air over here at $13. I didn't really sell too many shares. I sold some trading shares there, but I did sell aggressively covered calls. And yesterday, I noted in the room when the stock was right near the lows here and the low 10s, I basically closed out all my covered calls there to give myself full exposure again to the upside. Did we catch a bottom there? We'll have to wait and see. You can see the support levels here. You have this red candle, $9.85 was a support level. Also $10 psychological support. And I think fundamentally $10 is a nice support. So lots of supports here, $9.85 and 10 technically, and then $10 fundamentally. But then below that, if it breaks $9.85, you have $8.72 on the 20 DMA. Because of these other supports, I was thinking it's not going to get to 872 unless the market just really dives to new lows. So hopefully we're going to revert that. That's why I covered my calls as we got closer to that 10. I think the time is here. Let's take a risk on that, especially because the RSI pulled back considerably from 80 to 60 below the overbought level of 70. Can it go lower? Yes. Can this still go lower? Yes. That was a calculated bet I made to close out my calls and make some money, book some profits, because we did sell those covered calls right near the top, near $13. So that worked out pretty well on that. SIGA, what a winner this has been. We totally nailed the inflection point in the monkeypox story last Thursday morning. Did some further research on SIGA last couple days. Fundamentally, very, very strong company. I traded a little bit of common shares here a couple days ago, made a little bit of money, but mostly I've been selling puts. I've been selling puts almost every day the last 4 days. I'm short a nice amount of puts, making some money. Which puts? 1250 puts. It's not going to hit the strike. I mean, this is great. I might actually close those out, book a profit, and sell the $15 puts today. I might do that because I think I can get, let's see what we can get on the $15 puts. $1.30. So that gives you a break even of like $13.70 right at the 20 DMA. Am I willing to buy the stock at the 20 DMA with this set of fundamentals, catalyst, and sentiment? I may be willing to do that. I'll collect much more money by selling the 15. So I might close out the 1250s today and sell the 15s. We'll have to look at that on SIGA. So congrats to everyone who actually was aggressive on long side. I'm being much more conservative these days, selling the puts. I know someone from our community on the alert I gave last week on monkeypox turning out to be the real thing. Ariel went into GOVX, taking a little bit more risk, and it paid off for him very well. We advised him to take some off the table at the 200 DMA, which I lost it. Let's put it back on their chart over here. I was playing with this yesterday. So GOVX, when it hit that 200 DMA, I'm like, get the hell out. And he did. He did get out here at around 240. He booked a huge profit. So there you go with the technicals at work in combination with everything else. So congrats there to Ariel taking a big risk. I don't want to say big risk, but taking an added risk going with a riskier play, GOVX on that monkeypox story. All right, a couple other things I want to CYRN for just a second. May come back to that. Yesterday morning, we reported that GM deal with LTHM, and I thought that was a great deal. I picked this up yesterday morning on this little drop. I don't know what price I got in. I think I'll probably at least break even at this point. Maybe making a little bit of a profit. So it didn't work out. I was hoping for like a V-shaped recovery yesterday, like a gap fill and a big move up. Obviously, market's helping with this. Maybe people slept on it overnight and thought GM was a big deal. When you see a gap like this a day after good news, it's also often that analysts are initiating coverage. It doesn't always come through on the news feed. It could be privately being distributed. That might be another reason for the gap up this morning. So happy with that LTHM I picked up yesterday. Also, IPI hasn't worked out for me yet. I was very excited about this, very bullish. I thought this was gonna gap and run yesterday. It did not gap and run, but I think the story is still intact. In the 20 DMA, it's still above the 20 DMA. Natural gas is still high. Ag stocks really did nicely yesterday. Well, natural gas is pulling back here. Oh, possible reversal candle there. See that solid green? That's actually one of the ways I identified the top in air last year at $25. He had all these open green candles, and he had a closed green candle at the very top, and that's when I sold out of air. So possibly a short-term top on natural gas. Could that impact the story on potash stocks? It could, but look, I'm comfortable with this because it just gave everything back. We're back at pre-war levels with a 2 PE. I like it. I'm sticking with this. All right, I'm sticking with this, even though it didn't immediately pop and run. And if you look at some of their peers, let's see how they're doing. They have better charts. Okay, MOS. If you look at this, look at that. That's a pretty chart above the pre-war levels. It's moving. You can see it's moving back up above the 200 DMA. Then you have CF over here, another potash stock, battling with the 50 DMA. But again, you pull out longer term, really nice, staying above the 200 DMA. These are bullish charts to the sector, and with IPI back to pre-war levels, I like my risk reward over here. So even though trade hasn't worked out for me yet, I'm going to be holding my position, and we'll see what happens. May not win the competition on Wolf Financial, but we'll see. Let me I'll just skip down a little bit to CLFD because this is my other stock I put in for the competition. Earnings are tomorrow after the close. We've talked about this ad nauseum. So my position's in, and we're waiting for earnings, making an earnings bet here, and hopefully that'll work out and help us get back into that competition because of that end phase that's beating us so badly. So let's see if we could do that. Now, I promise I'll go back and talk about a couple here. Archer Daniels, I did not get into this. And look at it. This is one of the other stocks I said, these great candidates, when you have great news, especially in this market, the impetus is to sell the great news on the gap. And then you get these V-shaped recoveries. So this is what I was looking for yesterday in LTHM, which we didn't get, but we did get it in ADM. I didn't buy it because we didn't quite get the gap fill exactly. If it'd gone to like 76.32, I might have, maybe a little, look at it, only 13, 14 cents. Truth is, I wasn't watching it closely anyway. But look how close to the gap, such a common pattern. So this did do what we called out in the morning perfectly, which as so often happens, as we've been pointing out lately on great news. All right, just a couple other things I want to point out. PLAB, some real relative strength holding up. It has not been moving down with air or the other chip stocks this week. Really holding nicely, so I'm very encouraged by that. All right, last thing I wanted to show you was CYRN. I started a position in CYRN. Again, I was in this for a long time. I ended up selling. I lost some patience on it ahead of this week, right? Last week, at the end of the week, I sold this because I wanted to raise cash. I'd sold everything off that I thought was risky because I wanted to be in cash going into this week. which was a potentially risky week, and we didn't know what was going to happen with earnings. As it turns out, like I said, very encouraged with everything so far. I think we may be out of the woods. But anyway, I ended up buying back higher on this. I guess I sold this in 190s, and last night I bought it at 210. Look at this. Let me remove the 200 DMA. It's hard to see the price action here with this y-axis all the way up there. So with the 200 DMA removed now, you can see yesterday, let's get this out of the way. You can see yesterday we broke over the 20 DMA, and we did it once before right here. Okay, but the other thing I want to note is a MACD for the 20 DMA, but we do have a MACD cross this time. So I said, you know what? Perhaps with my interpretation of in after hours yesterday of possibly good news at this point with the reactions to Google and Microsoft, with FOMC being baked in most likely, maybe it's a time to take a little bit of risk. I ended up buying it back higher. So far I misplayed this, but we'll see if my re-entry at 210 last night and after hours will work. So that's CYRN. And that's about it. No news on Drio yet. So to sum it all up, I think we might be out of the woods unless Apple drops a bomb, right? Things are looking good over here. NASDAQ bouncing off the 50 DMA. So where did my 200 disappeared again? What is going? Oh, I just did it, didn't I? I just did it right in front of you because I was looking at CYRN. All right, so here we go. NASDAQ bouncing off the 50 DMA, at least QQQ is very similar with NASDAQ chart. So that's good news. I think we might be out of the woods unless Apple drops a bomb. And like I said, it's got to be a huge bomb. Just a mild miss like we saw with Google and Microsoft is not going to be enough to derail the market, right? And if they have any kind of bullish commentary, then market's going to forgive it. So I think we may be in good shape, and it may be a risk on time. So we'll see. We'll see what we do here. What was the other thing I was looking at today? INMB. So INMB is the other thing I'm going to be looking at potentially increasing because of that news we talked about with SAVA and earnings next week. The chart looks terrible though. Looks like it can test $8. So just be careful with that. Not something you want to go all in on. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. We do have Wednesdays usually at 4:30 to 5:30. We have our Zoom, a casual get together. We used to call it happy hour because the market hasn't been very happy this year. We just renamed it temporarily to open chat Wednesdays. But I'll have to reschedule that to do it a little earlier today. Instead of 4:30, we'll be doing it at 3:15. I may even reschedule to 3. So stay tuned. But we'll do it from like 3 to 4, or 3:15 and 4:15 because something came up on the personal front. I got to be somewhere shortly after 4 o'clock today. So we'll continue collaborating in the rooms. If you want to become a VIP, head over to StoryTrading.com. By the way, if you're a VIP now, you can listen to this on replay exclusively for VIP members through 12 p.m. noon. At 12 p.m. noon, this replay goes unlisted as it prepares to be published to the public at 4 p.m. Eastern. So VIPs, just remember that. If you can't catch this live, you can always watch this replay until 12 p.m. Eastern every day. Good luck, everyone. Thanks for joining.